Kitchen magic happens when you pair something very soft and subtle with something bold and brilliant. Cooks have been doing this through history for hundreds of years. My name's Dan Lepard, I'm a chef and food writer, and what gets me really excited is the way that we can turn very simple ingredients into blockbuster results. So the flavour of every ingredient, no matter how everyday it seems, turns into something fresh and inviting. The recipes I'm demonstrating in this series come from the Imperial War Museum's archive, an extensive collection that tells us so much about what we've lived through and also the ingenuity and spark that these very difficult times brought out in us. This particular recipe, Sardines Wrapped in Potato, comes from the book Victory in the Kitchen. During wartime, there was a huge push to get us away from using imported wheat and into potatoes, as potatoes could be grown abundantly throughout Britain. So the character Potato Pete was introduced, a cheeky spud with potato eyes and a big smile. For me, potatoes are hugely underrated. Freshly dug from the ground and cooked simply, they're one of the world's best foods. Potatoes were used to eke out very lean eating, also to wrap or mask other ingredients to make food much more delicious and enjoyable. And sometimes potatoes let a cafe owner treat soldiers on leave to much more food than they were used to by allowing them to smuggle something onto their plate. I spoke with a 100-year-old former Second World War RAF flight navigator John White, who remembers one cafe where the soldiers got extra from the menu.
Being at Hendon, we simply jumped on the tube, discovered in the Charing Cross Road a little snack bar run by a very lively London woman who took all these young Air Force lads under her wing, probably knowing that she might not see them again soon. Mars, as it was known. So if we'd been out and had a few drinks, it'd be quite busy, everybody's sitting at a long counter. She'd say, "Oh, hello, lad," and it'd be underneath the arches, boys, underneath the arches, which meant when we lifted up the fried potatoes, there was fried eggs underneath, and since she didn't want the other customers to know, she used to keep any eggs that she had for us Air Force lads and hide them underneath the potatoes.
Now, in this recipe you use tinned sardines, which typically came from Portugal, a neutral country during the Second World War. Sardines, smaller fish, and pilchards, larger fish, come from the herring family. When we talk about oily fish full of omega-3s, then this is the fish you want. Sardines are deeply nutritious in a way that will keep your skin glowing and your brain ticking and in perfect health. To make this recipe is a cinch. Just peel, chop and boil some potatoes, about 450 grams, in water until tender. Drain them in a colander, then mash well with salt to taste. Then add in only enough flour to make a firm dough. Now, although this sounds vague, it's meant to be, as potatoes can turn out softer or firmer according to how much moisture they hold, so you need to be a little bit adaptable when you do this. I add in the flour 1 tablespoon at a time just to see what the consistency's like, and then when it holds its shape in my hand like this, I know it's ready. Leave this potato mixture to one side while you prepare the sardine filling. Mash a drained tin of sardines with 2 teaspoons of vinegar or lemon juice and enough cayenne and freshly ground black pepper to give it some punch. Then lightly flour a plate or board, take a handful of the dough and pat it out to about 1 centimeter thick, but make sure it hasn't stuck underneath. Spoon a little fish mixture onto each round, dampen the edges and then fold over and seal. Dust both sides with flour to make sure it doesn't stick. Have about 1/2 centimeter of oil in a frying pan over a medium heat and then fry until crisp on both sides. You can keep them warm on a tray in the oven while you cook the rest, or just eat them right away. Piping hot and crisp on the outside, you've got this creamy potato surrounding this sardine filling. It's like the best fish and chips without the grease. To get the full recipe, go to the Imperial War Museum's website now.